What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Nerdy Mewzings Podcast, coming to you live from sunny Washington State. Well, sunny today, normally rainy. I'm here today with my friend Justin Mason, pro comic book artist extraordinaire. Been wanting to have him on as a guest since the inception of this podcast. Justin, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing, man. Just busy, busy, busy.
Awesome. Staying busy. Probably lots of secret projects you can't talk about and all the stuff you're wrapping up.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I wish I could spill all the beans, but
I know. There's always stuff you got to keep secret, right?
yeah.
So I wanted to start out just kind of telling everybody sort of how we met. I think I started following you on Instagram or something like that, Facebook, one of those, and I remember when you were back before you're a professional, you were just in that aspiring artist stage and going through all
Mm-hmm.
those frustrations, all the ups and downs that, people experience on that journey, especially breaking into the comic book industry. I don't think a lot of people realize how difficult that can be and how trying it is, and
Yeah,
um, a lot of how that can be looked at too from friends and family members as not a real job. Oh, you're
yeah,
just gonna draw all day, you draw comic
yeah,
book characters. So, what was a little bit of your experience with that? I know I gave you a few pep talks over the years and
yeah,
tried to boost you up and let you know to keep going. And look at you now, brother.
yeah. Hey, man, it helped. I really appreciate those. To this day, it's just not many people, like you said, man. Not many people will believe in you in those type of dreams. They're so. It's just I had somebody tell me actually recently. It's a pinhole. Somebody trying to get to a pinhole, and it's like there's millions of people,
Yeah,
and it's just there's only so many that can get through that. And yeah, so
absolutely.
it's just
Especially nowadays with all the exposure that artists can get online with social
hmm
media, and you just seeing like I think we get more of a scope now that there's literally like millions of
hmm
actually really good artists out there that we see all the time,
yeah,
and
yeah,
everybody's trying to get in.
yeah. I kind of have a there's times where I don't know, maybe imposter syndrome or what it would be, but it's like I see these artists online, like you say, and there's just some that is just, I mean, it's unbelievable how good they are, but they've never, they can't get through that door for some reason. So it makes me
Right.
think, why did I get through it, but they weren't able to. So
Yeah, it could be easy to get in that mindset, couldn't it? Because you're just wondering, like, man, out of all the millions of people, I made it.
yeah,
But it's no different than any you think anything at the elite level, like any sport, because getting on with Marvel or DC, that's the equivalent of getting in the UFC or
yeah,
getting into the NBA or
yeah,
NFL or NHL. Like you literally the same thing happens. I can't tell you how many ex like semi pro players I meet through the years who were almost in the major leagues for baseball or almost in the NFL and all of that, and they're really talented and they're really
right,
great, just like all these artists that you're seeing, but for whatever reason they just didn't make that break, and sometimes it's the perseverance wears thin, and it gets hard to keep getting knocked down and get back up again. And
right,
that's one thing I always saw with you. You stayed resilient even though you had those low points. You kept trudging ahead and
yeah,
ignored what some of the people were telling you. And
yeah.
and what do you think for you? Um, what was that? What was the switch that kind of flipped for you to where you uh, realized you were gonna make it? You realized you were gonna break in. Was there any particular moment, or did it just take you by surprise?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there was really ever any particular moment because, like you said, I was really dragging my feet for the longest time. Like I didn't know if it was ever gonna happen. It was just because I actually got the DC work first. And it was just like a small little 8-page story thing, which was awesome. But my heart's in at Marvel, so
Yeah.
it was always just people would even say, oh, that's awesome. You work for when you gonna work for Marvel, and I'm telling them I don't know. Like I don't just decide that. Even after
Yeah.
you kind of get some DC work. Uh,
Well, and I
but
think that's kind of every artist's dream. Like I don't
yeah,
know, not and I like DC too, but I
yeah,
can tell you like pretty much anybody you hear they want to get on with Marvel. Like they have a
oh
deep
yeah,
love for a lot of those Marvel characters,
yeah, yeah,
and that's kind of the big goal. Everybody be happy if they got on Batman or one of those
oh yeah,
big books for DC, but
yeah,
usually you hear, man, if I could draw Spider-Man one day, or
yeah,
you know, that's like the
yeah.
that's like the thing that you made it.
And no, like you said, no hate towards DC, but like I don't know if I've ever met somebody that was like, oh man, I really want to draw Aquaman someday. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
you know. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
just
like you
itching to
said,
draw Aquaman.
yeah, yeah. Like see, like Batman, yeah, Superman, that because those are characters, yeah, I would love to touch one
Those are
day,
the
but
two though. Those are the
that's
two iconic
yeah,
characters.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Green Lantern might be fun. Those,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
just,
there could be
but but there's
they're all cool.
yeah, it's just something grounded. I think about Marvel. There's this.
Yeah,
I think just overall with Marvel, there's this greedy aspect that DC don't have. That I
right.
don't know, appeals to me anyways.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. In real world, you can. I think the Marvel characters are a little more relatable for a lot of people.
Right? Yeah.
They're
Yep.
just like they're a lot of them are just average people.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Whereas you got Bruce Wayne, who's a multimillionaire, and you got Superman, who's basically space Jesus, and
Yeah.
it's pretty hard
Yeah.
to go any higher than that, right?
Yeah. Like I wish I had the. I wish I could relate to Batman for sure. Had that money. Just.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, keep going, brother. You never know. Never
Yeah.
know. Speaking of Spider-Man, I think most people who know who you are going to be immediately thinking of your Spider-Punk work
Yeah.
and everything that you've done on there. And I know you've been trudging away and putting the pencil to the paper. And what was that like when you got on that first time getting to draw Spider-Man, and you got into that world and got to start creating some new characters and everything? That had to be amazing.
Oh man, that's pretty much it. It was amazing. It because I remember when I got the email, I was actually at the eye doctor, and because they had told me they were going to let me know, but it was just one of those we'll wait. I think it's like a week or something. We'll let you know.
Right.
And then I was at the eye doctor in the seat, man, and I just got that email, and it just said Spider Punk all caps. And the thing is I knew who Spider Punk was, but
Right.
I he wasn't like that character. I feel like he is now. That's not like
Well,
what I
especially being that he was in the new,
yeah.
Spider-Verse movie and everything, and really blew up since then.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was just thinking, oh man, I don't want to sit, I like playing guitar and stuff, but I'm like, I want to draw Spider-Man, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and I didn't want to like draw Spider-Man sitting around playing guitar, but that's what I was first thing come to my mind.
Yeah. What
And
you're envisioning.
yeah, but at the end of the day, it was something that kind of sat me down. I was already sitting in the seat, but I kind of sat down and
Right.
and a
Definitely.
realization hit me, and but yeah, I remember drawing those pages. That first page I drew, I was shaking. Like that first week, 2 weeks, I was
Oh yeah.
literally. I had the shakes.
You probably took you a while to get grounded and really get
Yeah,
used to, getting into the flow with the character and finding, a lot of people don't realize that, and I'm not speaking from experience, but I've followed a lot of artists and listened to interviews, and when you first get on a book and you getting a feel for a character and, kind of how they live within the pages, how they
right.
interact within their world, their mannerisms, all these different
Yep.
things that you know, as a artist with a unlimited budget as far as your creativity, you're able to go in there and develop all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's such a unique and special thing. I don't know that people realize how much goes into that and how special that is.
It's I didn't even think of it that way when I first started. But by that last issue on the first run, it really I was able to look back and like I could draw these characters without any thought and how they stood and how they held themselves.
Yep.
Like how Matea and Kamala, how their interactions were like real lovable, real kiddish to each other compared to like Captain Anarchy, how he was just this, he's like a Captain America type character. So
Yep. Yep.
but yeah,
For
and,
sure.
and on this second run of Spider Punk, I actually it kind of sucks because I had that gap in between them, so I was away from them for so long. I had to actually
You
kind of
feel like you had
relearn,
to kind of
get
find
back
your
in the
voice
groove.
again as
Yeah,
far as that. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and it's like I get it. Those master artists that probably just can pick it up right in the first issue, but I felt like with me by the third, fourth issue, that's when I start settling in to the characters.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know. I've heard other artists kind of say it's the same process for them. About like 3 or 4 issues in is kind of when they feel like they're creating their best work and everything's
Yep.
really clicking and everything. I
Yep.
kind of think that's the way it is when you're familiarizing yourself with those worlds and everything and the characters and
Yep.
the type of atmosphere you want to develop and
Exactly. Yep.
obviously a really unique storyline that the writer came up with. Very cool.
Yep.
Um, so you did draw a lot of fun stuff, a
Yeah.
lot of crazy stuff in there.
Yeah.
How's the
Yeah.
second run going? You enjoying that? And they throwing a bunch of new stuff at you?
Yeah. It was that was a lot of fun. I mean, I actually wrapped it up a couple weeks ago.
That's right. You just
Yeah. So
finished it. Yeah.
wrapped it up a couple weeks ago or just recently, and yeah, it's just a ball, man. We had too much fun. It's one of the I think I get a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
spoiled, because like I'm starting my next project, and it's great. Like I'm doing layouts for it, and I'm having a blast. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's like as you go, you just build that strength up, and you start. You know what I mean? Like, and I really think this one
Yeah.
might.
It's like working any other muscle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're working that creative muscle.
Yeah.
You're just putting the miles down
Right.
on the page.
Right. Right. And I think this next project, I hope, anyways, I really think it might show like the storytelling wise, just the like like in Spider-Punk, I was able to just kind of play around with backgrounds and not do as much because
Right.
they're in these crazy places at times. But
Yeah.
where I'm at in this story in this new book I'm about to do, it's a place that the writer gave me great reference, and I'm able to really set us in this story, and I really can't wait for everybody to see
Nice.
that.
I can't wait. I know you can't talk about it, but I can't wait. So, backpedaling a little bit, like rewinding, were you always into art when you were younger? Were you the kid that was always drawing on the walls of the house and doing all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I as far back as I can remember, actually, I think some of my earliest memories, my dad, because he used to draw portraits, and
Okay.
uh, he he used pastels and stuff, so, and he had an easel set up in a room, and I just remember, I swear, I think I was like maybe three, walking in there
Yeah.
and just trying to grab these pastels off that easel, and he just would constantly, no, 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 you
Yeah.
can't deal with that. But
Yeah.
that I think that's something in me, man. It done something seeing that
Did
because
you
I
see
remember.
Ryan on? It did not to interrupt you, but along those lines, did you see Ryan Otley's favorite page of original art that he just posted?
I seen that,
That
yeah.
his kid
Yeah,
drew with a red marker all over
it's
the.
it's those
That was
things,
gonna
man,
be
that
that was gonna be you with your dad's portraits.
yeah. Well, it's I'm actually living that now because with my little girl,
Yeah.
right after started this next run of Spider Punk, I'm in the living room and she's in. Oh, I didn't know, but she was in my
Right.
workspace right here, and she hollers and Daddy, I'm helping you, and
Oh no.
it didn't click. It didn't click at first.
Yeah.
I think I was watching TV and some people were here and talking to Makila, and
Yeah.
they were like, "She's saying she's helping you," and I'm like, "I don't know what she's talking about." And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, it clicked,
Yeah.
Oh man, I had a double page spread out. It's from the first issue
Oh my goodness.
of him, Spider Punk riding the lizard on that wall,
Yeah.
and oh my gosh, I come in and she definitely marked it up, but
Yeah.
I was able to salvage it and save it. It wasn't as bad as the red marker, but
Thank God for whiteout and
yeah,
digital
thank God for one.
corrections.
But there's something about that though I really love. You know,
Yeah,
I did
absolutely.
I did white it out, but I think there was a few marks I just kind of left because it just there's so much going
Nice.
on. And I don't know, it just
Yeah.
kind of. I hope when she gets older, I can tell her, like, yeah, you drew on some of that page,
Yeah,
okay?
you got some published work there, baby.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So you were always into it from a very young age. And then as far as, did you go the formal training route? Did you go and do your figure drawing classes and all your basic art classes? Or do you kind of go along more the self-taught, like looking at comic book? Well, I guess I should say prior to that, did you know early on that comic books was going to be the medium that you were going to mess around in, or were you just thinking just art, something art in general?
Well, when I was young, actually, I think, probably around 5, 6, 7, those ages, I was actually, that was the 90s cartoon series time of Spider-Man, X-Men,
Okay.
like it was the best time type of
Yes, yes.
for me. I mean, because I would go to my mama's and she would just put it on, and it was fuel for my mind. It was,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Get
and
that
I never looked
creativity
at
going.
yeah, and I never looked at it like I want to draw cartoons. It's just like for some reason my mind was like I want to draw those comics. As
Yeah.
that age too, and so
Do you remember what your first comic was that you got a hold of?
you know, I, my back then where I lived, there wasn't really many places to get comics. Flea market, probably the best place, but
Yeah, yeah.
I know my mom just would get me Spider-Man comics from here and there, there, but there was never really one that stood out uh,
Yeah.
majorly to me. It was just the fact that there were Spider-Man comics, were
Now
was
for
a big.
you, were you an art guy? Like me personally, since I'm into art and I like to draw and everything, I'm usually gravitating
Yeah,
towards comics based on who the artist is or the type of
yeah,
artwork that I like. Did you develop that? Like, I know you're a fellow, McFarlane enthusiast and
yeah.
Ryan Otley. Like, we have a lot of similar tastes with the kind of artists we like. Were you, since it was in the '90s, were you getting into the McFarlane Spider-Man and Spawn and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Being that you were so young, maybe not Spawn though, because I know I
Yeah,
wasn't as young as you in the '90s. I'm quite a bit older than you, and in my folks being, you know, uh, growing up in a Christian household and
yeah,
everything, Spawn was very much looked down on. And I
yeah.
remember my mom would not let me buy it when I went to the comic book shop, and I was so sad because
Oh
McFarlane
gosh.
was my favorite artist. Mom,
Yeah.
please, it's his new book. No, you can't get that. It's
Oh
about the
gosh.
devil.
Oh gosh. I
Now I
actually.
have like eight. Now I have like eight copies of issue one.
There you go. Yeah. On something like that area, my uncle actually introduced me to Spawn when I was probably about
Okay.
8 or 9. Um,
Yeah.
the Image world, anyways. He filled me in everything, but and he actually told me, introduced me to Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider, all those darker
Nice.
type characters. And I remember in particular, I was just like, I've never actually tried to draw on skulls, so I want to try it. I was like 9,
Yeah.
and so I'm sitting there trying to draw skulls, and I show my mom, and she was like, "Don't ever draw these skulls like like she was so serious, like you're saying, like
That's funny.
I think she was very, like you said, Christian
Oh
household. Like
yeah.
she would not. It's
Absolutely.
like you don't
And
draw
I get
skulls.
it, man. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna hate on that. I
I
get it, but I was so sad. I remember being so sad.
yeah.
I wanted that Spawn one so bad. It's my favorite artist. And I'm like, yeah. I
Yeah.
actually ended up working at that comic book shop. That was my first job at the age of 16, was
Oh
at
wow.
that shop that McFarlane co-owned with his brother-in-law. This guy
Wow.
named Kim Kolomajek was his brother-in-law. So he's married to Kim's sister. That's Todd's wife that he's been with all this time.
Wow.
And yeah, so at the age of, I used to go in there every Wednesday and help. I would offer to help them put out the new books and everything. And then eventually they're like, "Hey, you want to work here?" So I started working there part time at the age of 16. That was my very first job. So I got to work there for a couple of years, and
That's
it
awesome.
was just insane, man. There was literally, that's where he stored all his original art back in the day. So there
Really?
was yeah, you remember when we used to have the really big brown paper bags at grocery stores,
Yeah.
like the really big ones?
I'm thinking of all
Yeah.
these big top, yeah.
Yeah. So giant brown paper bags full of his pages from Amazing Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, Infinity Inc.,
Wow.
all his old stuff, and stacks, like all the shelves that had the long boxes of the back issues across the tops, all those stacked to the ceiling on all of them. Just like
Wow.
probably over 50 giant bags full of his original art. So I would
Wow.
go back there every time I worked on my lunch break, and I would pull one down and pull pages out and look over his art and just freak out.
Wow.
Surreal. It was
Wow.
surreal.
That's
Yeah.
insane. Because now those pages,
Oh,
he,
that's hundreds of millions of dollars
yeah,
that
yeah.
was just sitting and getting dust on it in that back storage room.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
That had to be just, I don't know. I would have been just gushing over all these pages.
Oh yeah, I probably didn't. I probably slacked a little bit and took too many breaks because of it. 'Cause I was always finding any excuse I could get to sit down and look at those, especially being somebody that was into drawing and stuff. Because
Right.
I don't know if it was this way for you, but I think for most people, when you realize how big they draw the pages, or how big you guys draw the pages. I got some back behind me there. I just
Yeah.
did Ryan Benjamin's online course, so I
Oh
actually
yeah.
did a little bit of training on the side, and got some critiques from him and stuff. And
Oh
I
nice.
think a lot of people don't realize how big the pages are.
Yeah.
11 by 17 page with a 10 by 15 live area.
Mhm.
And when you first see one of those, because when we're drawing as kids, we look and, man, how do they get all this detail drawing it so
Yeah.
small?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you realize it's like huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
That was actually something I remember when we moved to North Carolina at one point when I was a kid, and it was a big moment for me because I found Wizard magazine at this time, and like just looking through that and seeing all this and that, it just really, really at that point it really exploded my love for
Yeah.
comics. And I
Were you
remember,
a enthusiast of Greg Capullo's How to Draw Things and Bart Sears' How to Draw Things in The Wizard?
yeah, I unfortunately didn't
Yeah.
ever get the ones with those awesome
Oh,
lessons in it.
yeah.
That would have been gold
Yeah.
back then for me,
Those
but
were great. Yeah.
yeah,
Before
gold.
YouTube,
Yeah,
before you could sit on YouTube for hundreds of hours and watch How to
yeah,
Draw Stuff by David Finch
yeah,
and
yeah.
every amazing artist you can think of.
It's like because this was about 2004, and so my YouTube and all that was literally just Wizard magazines, comics, just whatever I could find. I remember even
Yeah.
seeing like early Invincible ads and stuff. And at the time I'm like, what's this? What's this guy?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy
Who
because
who knew what that would
yeah,
become, huh?
yeah, I never expected it. Didn't know the names. But yeah,
Do you happen to remember the first page of original art you saw?
you know, I don't, I don't know
Like in
actually.
in real life, you know?
Yeah,
Probably at a con or something, I
well,
would
it had
guess.
to. It was most likely at a con from Jay Layston, one of his pages,
Okay.
inker. Um, and but that was one of the things. Like I just never knew how to do comics when back
Yeah.
then because you didn't have the internet. Well, I mean, I was too poor for internet anyway. you know, I,
Yeah,
I
well, and even back then, the internet to the extent that it is now didn't
right,
exist.
right, right. Yeah, you couldn't just Google exactly what you want and have that answer right there.
No.
So I didn't know how to draw anything. I just would draw, regular pads of paper and try to
Yep.
draw comics what I could, and I've still got
Yeah.
some stored up, and they're so bad I'll they can never see the light of day.
Yeah, I have all my old stuff too. I actually had some stuff published in like a small indie book at one point. And I have that stuff and a couple other things. It's all so horrible. I don't want anybody to see it, but save it for the nostalgia
Yeah,
and to be able to say my work was actually published at one
right,
point,
right, yep.
even if it sucked.
You know, I even look back at just the first published work I did, and oh, I don't ever want nobody to see that ever.
It's funny how that is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, yeah. And
But I
you
mean,
know what? You'll do the same thing again with this current work 5 or 10 years from now.
yeah,
You're going to do the same thing. You're like, oh man, I wish I would have done this different, that different.
yeah,
But that's the thing, being an artist, being, um, I think anything where I consider me being in martial arts. That's a form of art too, and I know I'm a
hmm,
perfectionist about that. I know my drawing. Even though it's not my livelihood, I'm still super critical of myself, and I
right,
just think that's part of wanting to always evolve and
yeah,
always improve, always push yourself.
yeah. I
That's
actually,
a big thing.
yeah, and I spoke to an artist once, um, great fine artist, like portraits and landscape, like amazing, like
Yeah,
fantastic. And we were talking about just evolving and just growing and learning. And he mentioned something along the line. I can't remember exactly how he put it, but it was basically, once if you're an artist and you ever get to this point where, oh, I'm great, I'm good, I'm this is
yeah,
perfect, I'm the greatest. It's like you might as well set the pencil down because
exactly.
you have nothing else to learn if that's what you
Yeah,
think. And it makes, like
yeah,
you said, you have to be critical of yourself, to grow.
yes. Yeah. What becomes hard is finding the balance between being critical while also still acknowledging the aspects that you're doing well.
Right, right. Yeah, there is a
And
very fine
that's
line.
the
Yeah,
we always have trouble seeing that.
yeah,
I see it with people training in martial arts, and it's like they can only see the flaws. Or if somebody goes and competes, and even if they do pretty well, they're still beating themselves up by
right,
the two things they didn't do well. They're
right,
beating themselves up over that when they
right,
did like 20 things very well. It's
right.
like, no, you need to focus on the stuff you're doing good too.
Yeah,
We can fix these other things. We go back to training, but
right.
yeah, I think that's just in our nature.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It really is like you said, just being in some sort of art and just you have to. There's just that line. You have to know where it's at. I mean, you have to be critical, but at the same time, you have to,
Yeah,
like you say, acknowledge that hey, you are good. I mean, there's a level you are. If you're doing it, that's all that really matters. Like, do it. Have
right.
fun with it too.
Yeah, and then
Don't
realizing like the people that we look up to, they went through all the same things
exactly.
that we're going through, you're going through, even
Yeah,
as a professional working for Marvel, drawing Spider-Punk. We all, we all have this thing in us that is that way. Like first part of Ryan Benjamin's penciling course that I took was him. He's like, I'm going to show you how I critique, people's work. And he's going through and he's just like tearing this person's work apart and drawing over it. This is horrible. And then, it didn't take long to realize it was all his old pages from when he first broke in at Image. And
oh,
he was like tearing apart all his old stuff.
right,
And he was like, see, guys, he's like, look, like, I can see all the flaws. Like back
right,
then, I thought I was doing okay, but
right.
now, like, this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I have some of those comics. I don't think they're that horrible. But he can't stand to look at them. And he's grown so much, though.
Yeah, yeah,
He's becoming a master.
yeah.
And yeah, but I think yeah, it's healthy to have some of that.
Right, right. It is for
Definitely.
sure.
Well, I was going to ask you, kind of when you're evolving in your journey and as an artist, did you have kind of a moment where things kind of clicked for you and you kind of went to another level with your art? Like I know some people like you will have these kind of constraints we put on ourselves as far as style or as far as how you're supposed to draw and these kind of things. And then, if you're able to get through that, you actually, like for me, I used to always try to keep everything way too tight and way too perfect, but
Right.
all the drawings I do where somebody like Ryan Benjamin tells me, hey, this is really good, do more of this, it's always when I'm looser, I'm more relaxed, and I'm
Right.
not trying to be perfect with it.
Right.
Do you have any similar things like that to where you kind of let go of maybe your idea of what you thought it was to be a professional artist that help you grow past kind of I know in martial arts we get these peaks and valleys kind of
Right.
thing, or you hit that plateau. Was there anything like that that helped you bust on through to that next level?
Uh, like years ago, whenever, and I'm sure you remember, I was posting a lot. I was hit them David Finch errors, and then I would get the Frank
Yeah,
Cho errors. I remember specifically, I think it was Frank Cho done something with an arm, how to draw an arm, and I don't know, like you're saying, something weird happened, and it did click. And I went back to the sketchbook, and I would draw, like he was doing it. And I'm thinking, okay, so it is, like how David Finch would explain, it's puzzle pieces. But I don't know, something about how he did it just really,
you just heard a certain thing that resonated with you
yeah,
that kind of made it stick at that point.
yeah, like it was really weird. I remember specifically, I can't explain it, but it was definitely something,
Yeah,
and like you said, it just happened. But I definitely hit that level where I was just copying these artists and copying these artists, and it's
yeah.
great to learn. But I had a Marvel interview years ago, and that was one thing they told me. They're like, dude, look, like you're this young and you're this good. Like for your age, you're really good. But we want you. We don't want David Finch again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, we don't need another Finch clone. We got enough of
Yeah,
those.
yeah. There's so many,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
definitely kind of clicked and opened my eyes up of
I think
just
I kind of remember a point too with your art where you, I can't, it might have been Daniel Johnson, like you got into his work or one of
yeah,
those guys, in that kind of your style went in a little more of a looser, faster direction. And I remember talking to you and you saying something about like, yeah, this has really kind of opened things up for me because I'm not being so careful and I'm being a little more messy with how I'm doing my lines and stuff.
yeah.
And I
I,
think that I noticed a huge jump in your work kind of around that
that
point for
was
sure.
James Heron actually. Whenever
James Heron, that's right.
he
Yeah, I always
definitely
him and Danny Warren
Daniel,
Johnson. Those
yeah,
guys, they have like that very similar, like kinetic,
yeah,
very kinetic style.
yeah. That was probably the really big another big step that opened up, because when I seen their work, it made me realize, okay, wait a minute, we don't have to be as tight as like David Finch is, or like
Yeah,
or Frank Cho, or these other guys. It's like they're just like you said, it's just so kinetic, it's so powerful, it keeps the lines are so loose,
yeah,
but yet it keeps all the
and they're
energy
fast too. You
fast.
like watch those guys draw, and they're fast. You're like,
Gosh, yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, but I started kind of doing that whole heron clone thing, but then finally some stuff happened, and it made me just realize from there I'm done with trying to clone these guys. And
yeah,
that was the moment I said no, no more. I'm just gonna do me. So
right,
I just remember I just stopped everything, stopped looking at any other art for the longest time, and just put out what was coming out of me. Like I didn't
nice,
try to look like somebody. If I drew an eye and I liked it, that's just what you know what I mean. Like I drew a mouth,
yeah,
a arm, I just let it come out, and it's like over the years, that's what I've just kept doing. I'll definitely study artists, but I just when I'm on a page, I'm just gonna let it come out, whatever comes out.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, let it flow a little
just
more naturally without necessarily trying to emulate anybody,
right,
you
yeah.
know.
Like, but lately I've been on a Capullo kick, and Like my gosh,
Yeah,
that man
he's
is
amazing, man.
he is absolutely amazing. Like his stuff, just overall, is just great. His
Yeah.
storytelling, everything.
Yeah, I wish I knew. I have some ideas of what he might be working on for Marvel, and I'm pretty excited to see
Oh, me too.
what he's putting together for them. I'm really excited about that. Those covers he's been doing have been crazy,
Yeah.
and the little teasers he's been putting out have been driving me nuts. I'm like, man, because he's always been in like my top 5, top 10
Oh
like
yeah,
favorite artists for many years now.
yeah, yeah. Definitely top five for me. Also, I mean, here lately though, he's been up there like for sure.
Yeah.
It's like his style is fantastic and it's great, but his storytelling is next level. Like,
It is, yeah, where he places the camera and
yeah,
how he frames
I
everything,
frame,
and
yeah,
I I know McFarlane had a lot of influence on him as far as that, because if you look at like his older,
yeah,
like some of the X-Men stuff he did and all of that, it was very different. It was very stiff and kind of more basic. And now, ever since he got in his groove with Spawn, he really like
yeah.
just took it to another level. Anything he puts out is amazing.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like you said, I think it was. It's something about him. It's almost like he loosened up and
Yeah.
kind of cloned McFarlane a bit, but it's like he took it to the next level and just
Yeah, he
wow.
did. And he really he does have some aspects of the maybe some of the cartoony elements of
Yeah,
Todd's work, but he put his own twist on it, and
right.
his foundations are in that very like, because I believe he was heavily influenced by John Buscema, so
Yeah,
he has like that really solid anatomy, solid structure, and everything, but then
right.
also putting that little cartoony layer on top of things,
Mm-hmm.
combined with that camera work and crazy backgrounds. Like I feel bad for the people that ink him sometimes when I look at all those pencils, because he leaves a lot of room for the inker.
Oh
Like
yeah, like
he leaves a lot of room for the inker to interpret, and some of that I look at and like, man, how would I like even process
yeah,
what he's doing there?
yeah.
I'm very impressed with the inkers he has. Like I know Danny Mickey's done
Oh
a lot
yeah,
on him, and
yeah,
Jonathan Glapion and those guys have done a really good job
yeah.
interpreting his pencils, because he does leave it pretty loose.
He does. I think personally, I love how Danny Mickey has always inked his stuff. Like it's
Yeah,
just oh my gosh,
yeah, I think
it's
he's always been my favorite on him.
yeah, something about it he knows. But that's what I've been here lately. I've been really inspired by him and Danny Mickey's inks, and I don't know, just
And I
it's
know you're like me. You probably got a lot of we got all the reference
yeah,
of all the unwrapped books and
yeah,
all
yeah.
the just pouring over all that stuff,
Oh
man.
yeah, his Batman Unwrapped, in particular. I have
Yep.
I actually pulled
Yeah,
it out here just
that's
recently.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have something really cool that very few people have. I don't have you ever heard of this artist Joe Bennett? He did a big run on Hulk.
Hulk.
He's
Okay.
a Brazilian artist, yeah. And I'll show you this. So this is a friend of his in Brazil hand binds these books. So
Really,
Joe, this is made by hand. The guy like makes these, and
really.
it's all got the glue and everything, and it's literally all these scans that Joe Bennett gave him
Oh no way.
of all this Hulk, just
Wow.
crazy detailed pencils. Yeah, and it's like hundreds of pages. There's two of them, two
Oh
different
wow,
volumes
man.
I got from him. Yeah.
How do you get one of these?
I so I saw that Joe Bennett had like reshared the guy's post about it,
Yeah.
and the dude doesn't speak any English.
Oh man.
He's in Brazil. He's in the real poor. Well, a lot of parts of Brazil are very poor and everything. But I reached out to the guy and I used my like GPT app
Yeah.
to translate. I just told it translate this to Brazilian Portuguese,
Wow.
and I like communicated with the guy that way, and then he had me PayPal him, and I got those books from him. So I don't think too many of those exist.
Oh
It's
my
like
gosh.
super cool. But yeah, you know, you're like me, you like going over that pencil like
Yeah.
seeing that pencil work.
Oh yeah. 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 Like I like to
Yeah,
know where it come from. You know, like where, like it's like the inks are
exactly.
great for sure, but I want to know what did that inker see? What was
Yep.
he interpreting? You know, for sure.
Yeah, and in seeing how, different inkers interpret uh, like different inkers on the same penciler, and seeing like which ones bring out the best in them has always been a fun thing.
Right.
Like I know a lot of people do that with like Jack Kirby's work. You look at old
Yeah.
Jack Kirby stuff, and some people hate how certain people inked him and this and
Yeah.
that. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how people get all wrapped up in things like that. But you know, now these days you're inking your own work, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
ink my own. It's funny because when I
you've been doing that for a while though, right?
yeah I've been
Yeah,
yeah it's been a good while. Like I've got quite a bit of practice on it, thankfully, but
yeah,
I'm definitely no master at like them other dudes. But yeah, when I was actually trying to break in the beginning, I was told by someone just to focus on one thing. You know, don't try to
yeah,
do mix of it. I'm just glad I
yep,
did. I didn't listen to him, and I actually did do a mix of it because
yeah,
now I've actually talked to Marvel about trying to pull back and just pencil at times, but they're like, no, we
yeah,
just like how you ink yourself.
yeah.
We're happy with that. Like, all
Man,
right,
that's great, man. Double page rate.
that that's the thing with
That's helpful.
it's very helpful, but I know Makila, my wife, I've
It
expressed
takes more time.
it does take more time, and I've expressed, it's like, look, if I pencil, I could probably pencil maybe almost 2 pages in a day. Get it done
Yeah,
quicker, just more little stress off my shoulders. But she's like, I'm not
yeah.
taking that pay cut. So
I was yeah, exactly. We got babies to feed.
yeah,
I was really surprised Ryan Benjamin was talking about his new project he's doing that he couldn't really talk about, but he said all he would say is it's with Frank Miller.
oh
And
wow,
so he gave the class a little, hey, can't say any more than that, but I'm doing a project with Frank Miller and I'm really excited. And he goes, I'm so excited. The other day, he goes, I think he said he did 4 or 5 pages in one day, full pencils,
wow,
full, like tight, really good pencils. And
wow,
I'm like, dude, how can you be that fast? That's insane.
yeah,
But you
that's
watch him draw, and he's so good. It's crazy. But he did a
wow.
lot of he was pretty good friends with Kim Jong Gi,
Oh really?
and
Okay,
so yeah, they were like they had done some drawing things with each other and had developed a friendship. And I think he learned a lot from him because yeah,
wow.
his work's like on another level right now. You watch him draw, and he's just like hammering stuff out so fast. I just I don't even know how he does it. I'm
I
so
need
jealous.
I need to check out that course sometime or something. Just wow,
Yeah,
that's
man, it was really good, and he was very critical even of the people who were really good in there. Like he gave everybody a good. I would say I was like middle of the pack as far as the students in the class, as far
right.
as like my skill level and my knowledge. There were some people in there that were like pretty close to pro level, like could probably break in, but even them, he was able to show them a lot and give
Wow.
them a lot of pointers to make their work better. And then they were bringing work into the critiques after that he had torn apart, and then they'd made like vast improvements. So it's
Yes.
pretty cool to see a master like that at work. I'm actually going to have him on here on the podcast here pretty soon, so get some more pointers from him and pick his brain on his process and everything.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to watch that one for sure.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, speaking of process, what's your process these days? Are you laying out digital and then printing it out on the board and finishing pencils and inks on that so you have an original to sell? Is that kind of what you're doing, or do you just go straight to the board?
Man, I don't know how people go straight to the board. I would not have made it
It
in the 90s.
intimidates the heck out of me.
Yeah, I would have not made it in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
because,
something about drawing that big that
yeah.
messes me up too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I don't understand. I mean, maybe if over time it's another thing you can
Yeah.
strengthen, but
Or like
drawing.
Frank Cho. Speaking, you were
Yeah,
talking about Frank Cho earlier.
yeah,
He does like double up. Like he
yeah,
does the giant boards.
yeah. It's crazy. It's like there's no point in it, but I mean,
Yeah,
but yeah, man. It for me, which I mean, I think it's just a natural thing. When you draw bigger, you've got so much to look at in every different points of the board. You can't tell the
right.
proportions.
You're not able to zoom out enough. Yeah, I always mess up my proportions when I draw big
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. It's I don't know, man. In the '90s, they I don't know, they had it figured out. Which I'm not going to say the proportions are perfect back then, especially
Yeah,
that era. I think it was just the perfect time for them, maybe because they were
yeah,
able to kind of push it in ways. You know what I mean? Um,
definitely.
but yeah, man, my process now is just like you said, just take my iPad, just do little thumbnails. Not nothing too small. Because I do like to do my layouts tight for what they are.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
So
whenever
you have everything there. When you print it on the board, you have all the information you need
I don't
to
need to,
finish it. You're not having to make too many corrections or
right,
anything at that point.
exactly, yeah, like I don't like to sit at the desk and then have to rethink about what I'm doing here. It's like, okay, no, I know
Yeah.
this face is this, this arm's over here, it's everything is there, like you said, all the information is there. Because I've seen layouts from some guys, it's like chicken scratch.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I think even Greg Capullo,
Like Jim Lee's old stuff.
yeah,
Like some of the if you see some of Jim Lee's did you ever, well, they're on YouTube now, but I have the VHS tapes over here, those comic book greats
yeah,
where
yeah,
it was Stan Lee,
yeah,
and I remember Jim Lee showed his layouts for the X-Men stuff. It was all like silhouettes, like outlines of people, and just
yeah.
like super like stick figure silhouettes, and then it would be like he would write in there who it was, Cyclops, Wolverine,
See, that's
and
crazy.
that was like his layout, and then you just take that and go straight to the board
That's
and do
crazy.
it.
If you really think about it, what's the point in doing a layout on something else when you're just about to redraw it bigger anyways? Because
Yeah, yeah, it seemed like it.
you're losing all that energy in the small picture. No matter
Yeah,
what you do. That's what I hate too about no matter what. There's this energy when they're smaller, but when you blow them up, it's like they just stiffen up. You know.
always. Yeah,
Um.
I'm trying to get over that. I don't know. I think I asked Ryan about it, and I forget what he said, but I always have trouble taking things in like you said, like taking it from that initial, you get your good gesture and your structure and you have that energy.
Right.
And then I lose like 90% of that when I try to do a finished drawing and I get super frustrated.
Yeah.
Stuff starts falling apart on me.
Yeah. For me on that part, that's why like I said, I do layouts a little tight. That way, when I do print it out, I don't really ever have to pick up a pencil. Like I will on a
Right.
face or maybe a hand if it's very difficult. But a lot of it, I hope is there, so I can just go straight to ink. And
Yeah.
I've found that it actually helps a lot. Just to
Now, are you confident enough now that you're doing a lot of your drawing and stuff with the ink? Like, I know some people, even their finished pencils are really loose, and then they're going in there and they're doing a lot of the drawing with the ink. Are you getting comfortable with doing that? Are you modifying stuff and changing things in ink?
somewhat, just depends
Yeah,
really what it
that
is.
always scares me too.
Yeah,
Like,
it
I'm gonna mess up if I go in there and do that.
that's what I
Ink feels so permanent, even
yeah,
though I know it's not. Like, we got white out, we
exactly.
could
Yeah, you
go
got
correct
one.
things digitally. It's
Yeah.
still, it's intimidating.
I seen an interview once with Daniel Warren Johnson, and it actually kind of made me feel good because I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just certain artists. But I like to when I'm doing a board, I want that board to be done. I want that board to be
Yeah,
like this is a piece of art essentially, but it's not.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, it's really just a product. I mean, or because it's a
yeah,
page that's going to be in a company. But I like to think of it like this is a piece of art that someone takes home, they can frame it, and there's nothing missing. Because I've seen artists draw a page and they won't even draw the panel borders because they'll just do it. They'll scan it in and
yeah.
go Photoshop and do it. And
Exactly. Yeah.
little things in like whiteout print, like you're saying. Some people just will wait digitally to fix this or that.
Yep.
Me,
Yep.
I can't. I have to fix it right on the page. Like it, smother
Yeah.
it with white out or whatever I have to
Yep.
do.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's good, man. No, you're wanting that end product. If if somebody does buy that page, you're wanting them to get something really special, and that's
Yeah.
cool because I get it. Like I think digital is amazing in helping streamline a lot of things, but I do think it you know you could go either way with it. You could kind of, yeah, I think it's kind of can hinder things as far as the original art sales and things. So
Yeah.
I like it when artists are doing your process where you still got a piece of art to sell and everything, and
Yeah.
because those EFTs didn't really catch on.
No.
EFT art. Buy this one of a kind digital print of my art.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. And again, maybe it's just me preference, but man, I just love to have. If I have a piece of art, I want it in my hand. Well, it
Yeah,
comes to anything really, like physical media. I just love
yeah,
feeling it, like a book. I like a PDF of a book, sure,
yep,
but I think I have more chance of opening the book if it's physically in my hands, even
yeah,
on my
for
phone.
sure.
It's just
Yep.
something
Even
about
with
it.
comics, just the smell of
Yeah,
like an old
yeah.
comic book,
I swear,
Like I got my spinner rack back here and everything,
I
and
love it.
got some old books on there, and it's just something about it. You just don't get that nostalgic feeling when you're looking through them on your iPad.
No,
It's
and
not the same.
and if you notice, sometimes when they're digital, like they like upscale them, it's like real crispy, like
Yep.
it's a little too clean. It's like,
Too
man,
too
too
perfect.
perfect. It's like, man, I want the
Yeah.
yellowed pages a little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know.
That's how all my old McFarlane art is. It's all my old McFarlane original art's all yellowed and
Uh,
nasty looking, but hey, it's still McFarlane original art,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. I swear.
Well, I wanted to switch gears on you a little bit from the comic stuff, and we'll come back to it. But I know you're a big UFC fan.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think of the UFC 300? Was that crazy or what?
Oh my gosh. I have not, me and my buddy, we've just been sending memes or videos about that knockout.
Oh, it was
Max
crazy.
dropping Gaethje, like I can't stop thinking about it. It's
That was
crazy.
crazy. Got all the bonuses.
Oh man, he deserved it with that.
He's just on a yeah, he's on another level.
He is.
And props to Gagey
Oh
for,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it props to Max for one doing that with somebody that dangerous because Gagey could have clipped him and
Yeah.
he could have lost all, he could
Yep.
have lost it there at the end. But
I,
man, that was like something out of a movie. Like 1 second left on the
I
clock,
know, and
and
I'm telling you that
haters would say it's fake, right?
I'll tell you, that's gonna be Hall of Fame fight for sure. Like that's gotta
Oh,
be.
100%.
That, oh my gosh,
100%.
such a great fight. Like my picks that night was bad. For some reason,
Yes.
but it's funny
It's
because
because you may or may not have put money on some of them. That's why they were bad.
yeah, yeah. Luckily, it wasn't a lot of money. So
Okay, that's good. That's
yeah, I
good.
think it was like $20 or something here and there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
so
bad.
nothing bad, but like I swear, me and my buddy, when I go to his house to watch the fights, every call, like we're like, oh, this is pretty much what's gonna happen. Like it's a sealed done deal. It goes the opposite
Yeah.
direction every time.
Yeah. There's just too many variables, man.
Yeah, I mean Jim
It's
Miller.
crazy too. Yeah.
Yeah, like
And on paper, like a lot of times how matchups work on paper versus how they are in reality is two different things.
oh yeah,
And when people get in there and and somebody's got something to prove, and
right.
it's
Yeah, like we don't know
some people rise to the occasion and other
exactly.
people don't perform as good as they usually do. It just depends. You never know where you're catching somebody, when they're getting in there. Because I can tell you, as somebody that competes in the elite level and in a martial art, that you're not always 100% when you get in there.
Right,
Most of the time,
right,
you got some. You're never 100% healthy when you go into a match.
right. Yeah, it even that right there even kind of says something about some of those guys that are able to do what they do. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah,
uh,
we'll look at uh Poetan, Alex Pereira. Like
oh
his toe, he broke his toe
yeah,
like weeks before the fight.
yeah.
That's why he was looking down his toe. They're like, "Oh, maybe he broke his toe during the fight." Like, no, he broke it way before the fight. He just didn't say
See,
anything.
that's crazy to still do that.
Still went in there, did the talk to the
Yeah,
hand to Herb Dean, and then knocks him out with the next punch.
that was
That was
crazy.
insane. That was another movie moment.
It was. It was.
He described that to somebody. Yeah, he literally told the ref no, and then he knocks the guy out.
And the fact though too, he don't even look at Herb.
No.
He just keeps his
Yeah.
eyes locked
Yeah.
and just pushes his hand. I'm like, oh my god.
Yep.
And Herb's
Yep.
like, okay, okay.
Okay. Guess you're fine. Yeah, because it was a low kick. Like Herb thought he took a low kick and he
Yeah.
was gonna give him a break. He's like, "No, I'm good. I'm
Hey,
just gonna knock him out
yeah,
now."
yeah. He was like, my
Yeah.
sights are set. I'm about to,
I like Hill too. Like he's somebody that I would like to see do well.
yeah,
Just he kind of looked like he came into that fight a little out of shape compared to normal. Like he's never like a shredded dude, but he
yeah,
looked a little off.
yeah.
So it was kind of interesting.
It's almost like to me, and we said talked. It's like he could have knocked out Alex, I think, just as easy.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah, it could have gone either way.
but like you said, maybe he was trying to hype himself up too much for that fight.
Could be. Yeah, it
I don't
could
know.
be. He seemed very confident. I mean, he was a little like he had felt disrespected or
Right.
whatever. I think he was carrying some of that with him, like he wanted to send a message or whatever. And
Yeah.
the mental part of it is like 90%.
Yeah.
So that's what people don't realize. If you're not in the right headspace when you get in there, makes or breaks it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And
With an
Alex.
elite level guy like that,
Yeah.
you fall behind one step, and that's literally all it takes to make or break you.
And Alex just seems like the guy that's just always locked in. I don't know.
Always focused,
He's
yeah.
never like he never kids with him. He's just
No,
yeah,
yeah,
just straight
cracks me
face.
up. He's really embracing that character too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I like it. Yeah, that undercard or the early prelims was literally like fights that would be the main event on a pay per
I
view. I was like,
know.
how is this
It's
with
crazy.
Figueroa and
Garbrandt.
was it Figueroa and Garbrandt? And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, this could be like a big fight
It
on a pay
it
per
could
view in itself.
yeah, I was like easily up on the pay per view for sure. I mean, even anything. I
Yeah,
mean, at the least a main prelim. But man, to be
yeah.
the first early fight, oh my gosh.
And I was also surprised that the Kayla Harrison and Holly Holm fight was on a like a early like that,
Yeah,
like early in the card,
yeah.
And yeah, in Holly, like she posted on her social media, she's like, I didn't do anything that we worked on. Like she had a completely different game plan, and then when she got in there, she just like, because I was surprised she like tried to clinch with her and tried to take Kayla down.
She had that
I was like,
reversal,
what are you doing?
if I'm
Yeah, it was
mistaken. That
nice,
was
but
really
it's like, what are you
interesting.
doing?
Yeah,
That's a Olympic gold medalist judo
yeah,
person. Like, you may get one like that on
yeah.
them,
That's
but
it. Yep.
that's it.
You know,
Ain't
like,
gonna happen again.
and I was very highly mistaken on that fight because when I first seen it, I actually didn't realize that Kayla, that was that Kayla. Like, cause I had heard about her a while back,
Yeah,
but I'd forgotten about her.
yeah.
And then I'm like, I can't, I didn't recognize her. And I'm thinking Holly should be able to take this, but once I realized
Well,
who it was, I was like,
Holly very well could beat her if she played the game that she intended to play, which was she had the longer reach, and if
yeah,
she had stayed on the outside and worked her striking and been patient,
yeah,
it could have gone a different way. But she just got in there and was like, it was kind of like kind of reminded me. You remember when Kat Zingano fought Ronda Rousey?
yep,
And she just like ran across the cage
yeah,
at her, and Ronda threw her and like got her right
yeah,
away. Like,
yeah,
kind of reminded me of that. Like, you're just like, just going into the red zone
right,
and
right. Like
gonna grab a hold of her.
yeah, like you're trying something, but you just
Yeah.
you need to stick to the game plan for sure. Like
But it's hard when you get in there again, going back to that mental.
yeah,
It's sometimes you just blank out.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You remember after the fact what you were supposed to do. You're like, oh man.
You know, going in like I would have bet a lot of money if I probably would have had it. I'm glad I didn't. But I was so sure
Yeah.
Jim was gonna win again, against Bobby Green.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's
He was looking good too. He
something
was
of
looking good.
yeah, it's something about it, man. It was like that magical thing. Like he fought 100, 200.
Yep.
It's like he can't lose this one. In my
Yeah.
mind, which is not it's not good, but man,
Yep.
I hate to have
And
seen
he
it.
was taking it to Bobby, and then
Yeah,
Bobby kept his composure and
yep.
came back and started chipping away at him.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
he
nice.
was definitely, and I wonder if whenever that one, because Bobby definitely likes to, do his little taunting and this and that. I was
Yeah.
wondering if it got into Jim's head and made him, you know, kind of steer off course a bit with possibly just staying composed, watching,
Yeah.
because I felt like at times he was getting frustrated.
Yeah, definitely seemed like that. Yeah, got a little bit out of his groove, and that
Yeah,
was all it took.
yeah,
Well, switching gears back to comics, since that's what you're known for. Like we're both from these different worlds, man.
yeah,
I walk in the world of martial arts and comics. You're into martial arts. You're
yeah,
watching martial
yeah.
arts and drawing comics. So we had to carry some of it over into this. I couldn't just keep it all,
I'm glad. I'm really,
comic book related.
I'm glad because I like, because heck, I've watched UFC for I don't know how many years, and I like to
Yeah,
express my love for it, but a lot of comic people don't seem to not watch it, or they
yeah,
try to act like they know a lot about it,
yeah.
but it's like
Just not as into it as you.
exactly. So never can have that great conversation. So yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate you bringing
true.
that up.
Well, I got to ask you, I know you can't say what the new project is or anything, but do you have kind of an idea of around when it might be coming out and that type of stuff, when we might get to see it? Or is it something where you're trying to, I know a lot of times you'll try to get so many issues in the can,
Right.
and then it'll get solicited and all that kind of stuff.
Um, it is for Marvel, so that is for
Nice.
I can say that. Uh, not really sure when it'll come out though.
Okay.
I'm thinking, I'm wanting to say maybe July, August,
Okay.
maybe
Might
around
be
that,
like a
but
summer.
maybe pushed a little bit. Maybe I'm not really
Gotcha.
sure, but I'm pretty sure it'll definitely be out. If not the
Cool.
third quarter or fourth quarter this year. So
Nice.
yeah.
Now, do you have any aspirations to do any creator-owned stuff?
Oh
You got like ideas that you've come up with over the years. I'm sure, like all of us, you have characters you've created that are
yeah.
in your sketchbook, and you're just waiting to bring them to life. And do you think if you do something like that, are you gonna try to, and I don't want you to try to like pigeonhole yourself by whatever you say here, because obviously things can change. But would you be the kind of guy that wanted to do like a creator-owned project that you publish at Image, or what do you think about like crowdfunding and stuff? Like people are having a lot of success now with the
Yeah.
crowdfunding and everything, especially somebody with your following, like young talented guy like yourself. I think you could do real well there as well.
I do. I do actually. I have some ideas. Nothing, that I'm dying to put out. But I have one
Yeah.
idea that for sure I'd love to do someday down the road. Um,
And would you like to like collaborate with a writer on it and let them help you develop it, or do you actually have some aspirations to get into that side of it as well and be the writer and the artist on it?
I mean, it would be fun. I would love to try to touch base in that field, but I just feel
Yeah.
like I'm not that guy. I'm not that
Yeah.
like
I'm the same way. I feel like you can come up with ideas and things and maybe a general plot, but as far as somebody bringing the characters to life, I feel like I would need somebody to
yeah,
take the reins, somebody better suited and more of a, a master of that field of that craft to kind of come in and do their thing and
yeah,
help guide me in the right direction on it.
yeah. I've actually talked to a few different writers over the years at different times, and you know, tell them an idea that I have, and a lot of them like it, but it's
Yeah.
such a weird direction, or how, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little, nobody that I've talked to was able to connect with it, so they're like, it may not
Yeah.
be for me, but I don't know. Maybe
What do
one
you
day.
what do you think about? I know it's a controversial topic, the whole AI thing, right? That's a hot topic for us right now because
Yeah,
of what happened with that cover contest and all of that, which I'm still disappointed. As far as I saw, it never was addressed
yeah,
outright or anything. But we won't go into that because we still love Todd, of course.
yeah.
So it's hard. That's why it was as disappointing as it was. But with in regard to AI, um, for me, like AI can be a great way of generating some ideas when you're stuck on something.
Right,
So
right,
not, and I'm not talking about art. I'm talking from the perspective of like a story idea.
right, right.
So like I'll tell you a little something about AI that's kind of crazy. So my buddy and I had come up with a story that I was drawing during the pandemic about this character in this kind of post-apocalyptic world, and we have all these different characters I designed and all that.
Right.
And we still intend on doing it, like finishing it and everything, but for shits and giggles, we put it in AI. We literally said like we gave like a like a very brief description of the setting,
Yeah.
the characters' names, and asked it to come up with a couple story ideas. It came up with exactly everything he had come up with,
Really? Wow. Wow.
down to key plot points. Like it
Wow.
literally had the same ideas that he had, all this stuff he had spent days and days writing. It like was like, yeah, and this happens and the characters go here. It was like literally like, and then like, and then did some stuff that we hadn't thought of that was really cool, that he was like, oh, I should have thought of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's getting scary, man.
It's that
He's
is
literally just plugged the like the time, the this it's post apocalyptic.
yeah.
It's in this year. Here's the characters' names, and it literally like came up with the same ideas that he had had for those characters and the
That's
plot
crazy.
and
You know,
yeah. So and just saying like I get like I don't think it should be leaned on as something where that's the only way you can write. But
right.
if you have like writer's block or something, or you get to a point in creating your story or coming up with a story for your character,
Right.
I think it can be a good enhancement of like giving you some ideas and then you take it and develop it on your own.
Right.
What I don't like is just this whole like letting it come up with something and then saying you're the one that created it.
Right. Yeah, yeah, like if it could be
Yeah.
used somehow regulated to be used as a tool, like no
Yeah.
it's no different than a pencil essentially. It's like,
Yeah.
like you're saying, it would be interesting to, hey, I've got writer's block, get a help me out, and it gets that train trudging, but then you just keep
Yep.
on going with it, like you don't need to be slave to it. Um,
Yeah, not copying down
right,
exactly what it's telling you,
right.
and
Which,
just having it serve as like a muse
yeah,
or being like inspiration for like, oh, okay, get me past this sticking point. I can't. Here's what I
right,
have so far, but I can't figure out like the conflict resolution of the last act of the story or
right,
whatever, and then it's like, oh, you could do this. Oh, cool.
yeah,
And then take it and make it your own.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, where I have trouble is when we're getting into the whole like, oh, I created this piece of art. It's like, no,
yeah,
you typed in a word.
yeah.
you
I,
typed in a word and it spit this out, and then you're saying you created that. It's not how it works, bro.
yeah, I know it. I don't know if we'll ever get to that day where someone.
Oh, did you see? I'm sorry to interrupt
No, you're
you,
fine.
but before it leaves my mind, did you see that DC did a bunch of covers? Somebody did a bunch of covers for them that it got exposed it was AI, and
Was it?
Jim Lee caught on to it, and they canceled the covers and had actual artists redo the covers.
Oh wow. I think I seen something about it was a Batman. Was it something to do with Batman or am I?
No, this was a different one.
Oh, this must be okay.
Yeah, it
See,
just came out. It just came out today. I'm
oh, I have
trying to
not seen
remember
this.
where I saw it posted, but it was like three different covers, and
Wow.
it was one of the artists I follow posted it, and they go, props to Jim Lee and DC Comics for like taking a stance on this.
Oh wow.
And it showed that they had canceled like 3 different covers because it turned out they were done with AI, and then they hired like actual artists to redo them. I know who it was. It was Cully Hammer.
Oh, he shared it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Let's see if I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about this.
Cully Hamner.
Hamner.
What was it? It was one of his recent. I think it was on his story. Let's see here. Oh, he doesn't. Oh, I think he might have removed the post. Uh-oh.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Maybe got a little
not seeing it now.
Too much action on it.
DC might have been like, hey, you weren't supposed to talk about that.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Or I'm just not finding it. But yeah, it was interesting because it was like 3 different covers. It had like, I think one was like a Power Girl cover and like a couple other ones, and like a Shazam, a Power Girl, and something else. And
wow.
Yeah.
No,
so
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah. No, props to Jim Lee and those guys for going in there and recognizing it and taking action on it right away.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm glad.
That's my thing. You gotta make a statement, and you gotta say, hey,
yeah.
we're not accepting this. Like we strictly said, we don't want AI stuff.
Yep.
And then
Yeah, that's what.
If they're making that clear, and then people are sneaking stuff in,
right.
That's
right.
So that's a kind of a shady thing to do. So
yeah, like that's just my problem. At the end of the day, you've got an artist that have kids, got bills. Artists, writers, I mean anybody. But they've got a life. But these uppity ups, higher ups think, hey, let's cut some costs and let a computer do it. And look, it looks pretty. It looks awesome to be able to just get something done,
save a lot of
time. I mean, but at the end of the day, we need to regulate it because it's because people. It's like do you want a computer to rule type thing?
Yeah. No, definitely, and it's one of those things where I can see it. I think it's going to be pretty hard for it to like replace like something as in-depth as comic book art and storytelling. Like there's a lot of nuance and a lot of different things. Like I'm sure it will get to a point where it can, but right now I see the big thing, the big area it's really affecting is now that they have that one that can do the text to video.
Oh yeah.
And it's literally like, I mean, it's really good. Like, it looks like it's going to replace, like, where normally for a movie they would have to, like, hire a helicopter operator or somebody to do a drone shot.
Right.
Like, they literally typed in, like, drone shot of Catalina Island.
Yeah.
And this thing spit out this video that was indistinguishable from real life.
Yeah.
And looked like a drone shot of this island. And it's like, man, how many people's jobs that normally would be
right.
You'd have to hire the person to do that. Now they're out however much money, and no longer necessary. And I think a lot with something it can do really well is concept art too.
Oh yeah. You
just put in a basic description of something and have it spit something out, like some scene or some character or whatever. So
yeah, I mean,
that's where it gets real scary.
Look, I mean, like I said, it's hard to say. Yeah, that's not awesome, But at the end of the day, like what's important, you gotta really think about that, and it's what's scary, man. Them higher ups don't look at it like, hey, we're helping these people feed their families and pay their bills. They don't care.
It's all about that bottom line, right?
Yeah.
You save a little bit of money here and there.
Yep.
But it's a very nuanced conversation, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that, point and counterpoint people would bring up, but I think ultimately, like you said, some boundaries need to be set.
Yeah.
And some little regulations put in place when it comes to certain things to make sure we're not affecting people
Right.
too much, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Well, Justin, I know I've taken up a lot of your time between the technical difficulties we had and everything earlier and the one we just had in the middle of
Yeah.
this, but wanted to ask you, you know, where can people follow you on social media? How can people get a hold of you if they're interested in having you do work? I know you're probably pretty busy. You're probably not taking on a bunch of extra work, but I know sometimes you open up commissions and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So where's the best place for people to get a hold of you?
Everywhere, pretty much at Justin Mason Art, at Justin Mason Art, and just message me through them. You know, whatever. I'm actually gonna plan on opening up a commission list soon, so just keep your eyes peeled.
Nice. Cool, and I'll make sure to link that in the description of everything, and make sure people can get out to you. And I know you're a busy guy, so I really appreciate you taking the time with me tonight, and it was great catching up with you. I hope that we can do this again because I know there was a lot of other stuff I would have liked to talk about, but
Yeah.
being that you're a father as well as a artist for Marvel, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So maybe we can have you back on to do a follow up once that new project is made public and we
Yeah.
can actually talk about it.
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, that'd be great, man, for sure.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, everybody. I'm going to hit that outro. This music is done by a guy named Robert Griffin. He's known as Your Dad's Comics on Instagram. Make sure you hit him up. I'm going to hit this outro. And everybody take care and stay nerdy. Justin, you have a great night, brother.
All right, you too, man.
You can sit here and rock out.
Yeah.
See those dance moves, Justin.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.